as you come in today, those of you who are joining for Ops Experts Club, obviously welcome here. It's great to have everybody. Taryn's going on a motorcycle trip coming up later today. Pretty excited about that for him. So he's going to be like half with us or not. Of course, you guys know Ben as well on the Collab Team side. But who you don't know is Jon. Jon is a good friend of mine. I've got to work with a lot of years. You know, Collab Team has been doing operations for entrepreneurs since 2014. You know, so we're coming up into our 9th year, you know, as we roll over into this next set of the month. And Jon was with me almost at the very beginning, you know, so we started with Keith Yackey. Keith Yackey led into a friendship that introduced us to Pete Vargas, and Jon was there on the ground with Pete Vargas at the very beginning when Advance Your Reach was at its infant stages. Jon was the copywriter doing all of the copy, and then obviously things grew, and Pete's got this team of 50 plus now that are all internal, you know, so all of us have kind of broken out and kind of done our own things, but it's kept us connected through the years. So Jon and I have been at some of Pete's live workshops together, have been at, you know, Reach Live together, and then have had some crossover. Jon's done a lot of copywriting work for me, where I've tasked out projects. I'm like, Jon, would you help me with this? This website sucks. My copy is awful. Will you take a look at my website? Will you take a look at my copy? So Jon's always kind of my reach out. You know, we had suggested some Pedro Adeo work to him. We've referenced him out for a couple different clients that we've got. Jon is just a good guy, does a lot with copy, and have a ton of respect for him. So this whole month for Ops Experts is, you know, typically we're the ops experts. We bring in ops experts from different businesses that are our clients, but this is an area that we're not great at. We don't do the sexy side of marketing. Jon is the sexy side of marketing, what he's selling, what he's doing. And so we thought we'd bring in experts from that side of the pool to come in and speak to it for all of our people that are part of Ops Experts Club. So Jon, thanks for joining us. With no further ado.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks, Aaron, for the lead up there. And you know, it's the sexy part is it's the haircut.
That's right, right? That's it right there. And Jon, you weren't always shaving it down as long as I've known you, so I feel like we had to grow into this together.
No, and in fact, I had almost this, you know, this come to Jesus moment, which, you know, rarely Jesus shows up in those moments because, like, bro, I don't want to be in that conversation. Where I was like, hey, I feel like a lot of the carpet's leaving, and I need to put in some hardwoods. And I said, well, kind of, what's your process? And so, you know, he kind of talked to me off the ledge. He's like, it's okay, life goes on even when you shave bald. I'm like, okay. So that's, you know, that was, you know, just be able to have great connections. And Aaron, we've hung out at Keith Yackey's event at Amplify Live in Vegas. I talk more about that, but what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas usually. And so being able to connect with ops experts, seeing what you're doing with the Collab team, and seeing how this really has grown, because I when we talked, it was 8-9 years ago. I think it was this idea of saying like, hey, I'm getting this thing off the ground. It's for on the ops side of things, but I think that there's a real need there, especially in the entrepreneurial space. And so watching this grow through the years has just been an amazing experience, and seeing kind of how your crew's grown, getting to meet some of your people, getting to meet other people you've worked with. So it's just been an amazing experience. So when I was talking with Aaron, he said like, hey, copy is what we really want to focus on, the sexy side of things. But for ops experts, they're saying, I feel like I'm the one that's kind of further down the pipeline and all the flashy stuff that has already happened, but we still have to write a lot of copy. Where can you help? And so I'm going to go ahead and see if I can share my screen here. I put together a super fancy Google Doc, as it were, to walk through. And so don't let the massive graphics background really overwhelm you there. For the coffee genie, Aaron Hovivian, as it were. Really the term that seemed to keep coming to mind is this idea of nomenclature. How do we name these things that we talk about, especially on the app side of things? Sales, marketing, R&D, biz dev seems to be like, hey, this ADD, hey, we've had this jolt of energy, and now we're going to create this new product, and it's got the super flashy name. You're going, yeah, but what does it do? Because you guys can sell it, but we have to fulfill on it. And we have to also sound on the ops side of things like we actually know what we're talking about. And they're saying, well, that's not what sales said. That's not what the sales copy said. That's not what the salesperson said. And they're selling something saying it feels like almost two different products, even though it's the same SKU or the same, product line, as it were. So before we really jump into this, the first thing, just sharing a little bit about myself, about my crew. This is me. This is my beautiful crew. Those are my 3 munchkins there. And nice. My older son, it almost looks painful when he starts smiling, but he does like smiling, I promise you. So our company is Keynote Content. We've been in business coming up on 9 years this fall, which is amazing. It's kind of flown by. if you're on anything social, at Keynote Contents, where you can find me. A little bit of my background. I was junior copywriter and senior copywriter for different agency work in another life, as it were, with Dodge, Chrysler, Chick-fil-A, Gatorade, the Gatorade Sports Science Institute, Jeep, Learjet, Savile Row, I Am Second, Compassion International. Just down the line, those are some of the accounts that I was senior copywriter on, putting together copy for that. And then about 5 or 6 years ago, really started branching out, saying, okay, I don't want to work with the corporate, with these large brands. I want to work more with the speakers, coaches, consultants, people who have kind of that one platform, a one-to-many, how to amplify their voice. I call it essentially clarify your message, elevate your impact as you one-to-many. What does that look like? And of those almost 1,200 coaches and consultants now, about 800 of them, a little over 800 of them are on the speaking side of things. So speaking at conferences, breakout sessions. And so you have this message, you're saying, I want to get it out into the world. And that's likely part of your team. You're working for the Pedro Dale, the John Acuffs, the Pete Vargases, the Keith Yackes. We're like, okay, they're on stage. And maybe you've been in the background saying, okay, I know Keith Yackes well, good dude. It's like, Keith just made an offer on stage for a product that I've never heard of before. And I'm in the ops department, just as a random example. Or like me staying in the back, and Pete made an offer from stage. Do we even have that product? We do. Oh, because I haven't read the copy for it, but that's apparently our new offer. Great. And so if any of that sounds familiar, you might be going, yeah, I'm seeing nodding heads. I'm hearing the chuckles where you're going, it's familiar to you, because you're going, okay, now how do we talk about that in a way that actually makes it sound like we're making sense? And so I'm going to walk you through today. What does that even look like? I like to say, what do we call that thing we sell? Because usually internally, that's how the conversation, hey, it's our main coaching program, but are we still calling it this? Or are we calling it this now? And how do we, on the fulfillment, the ops side of things, when we're sending a fulfillment email, when we talk about the onboarding process, that it's cohesive with what sales, marketing, biz dev have even sold, or even our main speaker from stage sold, that there's this cohesiveness with how we talk about this product through not just our internal conversations, but how our onboarding and ops look like. So I like saying, if you're confused about the name, it's even more confusing for your clients or customers. And the big thing that I see for a lot of people on the fulfillment side and on the ops side of things going, everybody else is calling it this from stage, but internally we call it this. At one point, do people say, wait a second, I thought it was called this. And so there's that confusion. And I like to say, it's okay to shorten the product into a more of a colloquial, more everyday conversation. Like I spent a lot of time working with, I was Pete Vargas's first copywriter, as it were, senior copywriter with Advance Your Reach. And as we were going through these different products, we had these 5-6 different workshops. I'm going, do we need all these workshops? Well, we have all these workshops, but we're not selling all these workshops. I'm like, okay, so what if we just don't talk about the things we're not selling because they're not selling? And it was like this pause, like
so good, John. That's so good.
Like the strife I'm going, because every moment your ops team and fulfillment team is trying to go down the list of offers and be like, I can't find this. It's creating more and more uncertainty and more confusion in the prospect's mind that you're looking to sell that into. And you can even say, hey, we even came up with this great name, like Reach Academy Live. And I was sitting on Pete Vargas's back porch, and I looked at him and said, why Academy? There's nothing academic about it. It's a live event. What if we just call it Reach Live? And we cut the Academy off, and it's been Reach Live ever since. And like in another example, and Aaron, I hope it's okay if I'm just giving you kind of story after story and just going through that.
Oh yeah.
I was working on the Chevy. It was a Chevy account. They were doing like kind of this big meet and greet. It was in the Chicagoland area. And it was a meet and greet, and they're saying, hey, Richard Petty's going to be there. They're saying, meet 4-time, NASCAR couple. And they had this massive thing. And it was like, this is our get to see who really rocked the oval for NASCAR. I'm like, what if we just call it meet Richard Petty, King of NASCAR? That's what it is. I'm like, what do we call this event? It's like, call it the Meet Richard Petty event. Because that's the big goal and that's the big outcome. Hey, I got to meet Richard Petty. Where? At this Meet Richard Petty event, because that's how people are going to talk about it. And the rest of the sales crew are like, oh, we can't pitch it like that. It's going to, and I'm like, you know what? So we did a split test. This Meet Richard Petty, King of NASCAR headline beat everybody else by over 79%. Just crushed. And because it's simple, because on the ops side of things, and I happen to be involved with somebody who was in the ops department, we'll just leave it there. She said, please make my job a lot easier with how you talk about this, because it's just driving me crazy figuring out what event are they even talking about. But if I know it's the Meet Richard Petty event, super easy for me to then talk to the next people who want to show up at this event. Another lifetime ago, 10, 11 years ago, whatever, I was working with I Am Second. And we were talking about this devotional book they were putting together. And I was writing some of the entries. I wrote like, a bunch of the different entries on the front side of the book. And they said, well, we want to call this the inspiring way to live as if you were I Am Second for this next year, or some long name like that. I'm like, okay. And as we talked about it more, we kind of came to this conclusion. What if we just called it 365 days of living second?
Good.
Super easy, super simple. And if you're familiar with this idea of Occam's razor, which is a philosophical concept of saying like the simplest, easiest answer often is the right answer in many situations, going this Occam's marketing razor is going, the simplest name is often the best name for a product. Because I don't have to have the name do all this heavy lifting. I can let the experience do the heavy lifting for it. If I say, here's clearly what it is. It's the 10-day keto reset. That's a simple name. Do we need to make it any flashy here? No, but if they can reset their keto levels with the ketones in 10 days, check. That's a great box check. And I'm saying for people who are wondering, well, we have a simple name and we love the simple name, but we don't know if it really says enough. You can cheat a little bit by bringing in a longer tagline. I call it the Tim Ferriss effect. It's like, hey, here's the short name of a book, 4-Hour Work Week. And then here's this long tagline that goes, oh, that tells me a little bit more what it is. And that tagline almost functions as a short form sales page, because in that, essentially 10 to 15 words, you can tell me what that is and the transformation it gives without or with, and that gives you what you're looking for. Simple name, longer tagline, Occam's marketing razor. Going on from here, I like saying, do the rest of us, besides R&D, sales, marketing, do the rest of us know what this actually does? And so I like saying, if for your ops department, creating just a cheat sheet where you have 5 details. What's the name? What's the investment level? What's the big idea behind this offer? And if you're saying, I don't know how to fill that in, basically interview your lead copywriter or interview your lead salesperson, saying like, okay, what is this for and what does it actually do? And then write down verbatim what they say, because likely they've polished it in different R&D or sales meetings. As I said, they've polished it because they've had to pitch this to their sales department. Okay, if I'm using the exact words that they're using, then it's going to sound very consistent from top of funnel through fulfillment side. And I like saying that third detail is getting, who is this for? It's for entrepreneurs. It's for couples. It's for whomever it might be. And I like saying who's not the right fit for this. And we'll get into self-selection here in a little bit. But the fifth thing is going, if they say yes to this, like, absolutely, I'm in. Going, great. What is the right next step? Because it can't be, well, we'll send you an email, or hey, we'll head to this link, or do this kind of like, okay, if we're going to funnel everybody through, what is the right conversion method? You hop on this call, you fill out the form, whatever it is, so that you can take and you give that little cheat sheet, you give it out to everybody in your ops department, your fulfillment department, because you're the ones who are getting a call saying like, hey, I talked with Pete at so-and-so, or I talked with Keith or Pedro, and they were doing this, and I love this. And I wasn't quite sure, but now I'm ready. And I just wanted to talk to somebody about it. Okay. What are the questions you have? And now I know who's this for, who's this not for, what is this going to cost? What's the big idea? And if they say yes, then what next? That cheat sheet will help save you a ton of different conversations. And also, as you're paying attention to those calls, I like saying, if in the ops department, you're saying, people keep asking us about this, take that same pattern that you're seeing. Hey, 5 people have now asked about this, send it up the funnel or up the pipeline to your lead copywriter or your sales guy and saying, can you put this in the FAQ section on the sales page? Because if sales and marketing aren't looking down the pipeline saying, are we good? Is this processing through? And if they see something coming back up saying like, hey, it was unclear because of this detail, great. It's a 12-month course, or it's a 90-day experience, or hey, you have to go here to log in. It might seem super simple, but those simple parts add up to where people can say, I had the question answered. So it saves them a phone call, saves you a phone call, and they're more likely to say yes on the same page that they're already going at, as opposed to saying, I've got additional questions. Great. And what I like saying is the way we talk about a product and the way our clients or customers talk about a product are automatically, naturally, two different ways of talking about it. So how do we grab the language of communication that our customers are talking about a product and then bring that into our sales copy? We won't know unless we listen. So on the ops side of things, you're likely hearing, well, hey, I signed up for the stage workshop. Okay. We call it stage execution workshop, or you call it stage workshop. Okay. Do we need to have the execution part in the name of the stage execution workshop? Or can we just call it stage workshop? Or they're saying like, hey, I've got this talk build out workshop I'm going to in Milwaukee with Pat Quinn. Okay. We call it signature talk workshop. Well, people keep calling it this talk build out workshop. Do we need to change that name, or how are they talking about it? So the sales and marketing, they're not hearing the same stories that you're hearing on the ops side of things. So setting that back up the pipeline and saying, hey, they're talking about it this way. Does that help? Or is that something that might change how you talk about it on the sales copy or from stage or in sales conversations? Like out in the hallway, and they have like the 10, 15 minute, free, strategy sessions. What are the ways that we're talking about it that is reflective of how we're hearing them talk about it further down the funnel? And if it's this massive disparity, saying, no, we really like the way we're talking about in the sales side of things on the top side of the funnel. Okay, well, we're hearing a very different story for down the line in the ops fulfillment side of things. Where is the breakdown? Where is the disparity? And that might be in, we need to simplify it, or we need to clarify it better, or reframe it in a way that lets ops say, I feel better set up for this phone conversation because it was framed in a way that was more helpful for the person who wants to hop on the call for me for onboarding or fulfillment. I like asking also through those conversations, like, what are the biggest challenges that people are experiencing before they go through this product? And then what are the wins that they're getting as they go through this product? You might say, oh, that's being handled through video testimonials or through people giving the testimonials. It's also being handled in everyday conversations. Hey, I'm on module 3. Thank you so much. And by the way, how are you? If I'm hearing somebody's being stuck module 3, module 5, or, week 5 of a coaching program, how's it been for you so far? They're going, great. I loved module 4 about reframing your financial conversations with your spouse. Great. What'd you love about that? Write it down, send that back up the funnel. People seem to love module 4 and how it's reframing the financial conversations with their partner. That seems to be a big one. On the sales copy, it looks like we can actually help you have a non-argumentative, great conversation with your partner. And that's covered in module 4. It's just this little snippet, doesn't give them everything that's going on in module 4, but lets them know, hey, here's a quick win, or here might be the whole reason why you'd say yes to this, because you got your win in module 4. Great. That's awesome.
That's great.
And I like to think of sales and fulfillment like being at the end of a walkway that people have to come down where the big party is. If people are up the hill and they're supposed to follow this lighted pathway down to where the party is, what if that lighted pathway has burned out bulbs along the way? And on the fulfillment pipeline side of things, where can we point out the burned out bulbs and saying, how can we help light the way better and get those bulbs replaced? Whether it's onboarding emails, whether it's in the sales copy, FAQ, the conversion side of things, where are the burned out bulbs on the pathway to get people to the party faster and safer? Because if I can't see where I'm going on the pathway, how do I expect other people who've not been down that same pathway to see where they're even going? But more we can find out where are the burned out bulbs and fix those through copy, through fulfillment, through conversations, the more they can say it makes your job easier on the ops side of things. It makes the fulfillment experience so much better for them. And it lets the sales and marketing side saying, you need to look down the path and see the bulbs with us. Because if I'm looking up the path, you're looking down the path, we might say, hey, here's the exact geolocation where that bulb is in our fulfillment process, and people can help light the way better. Does that all make sense so far?
Super
great. Yeah.
Awesome.
So great.
I love that, John. That's such a great analogy and a great way to look at it. So before you continue on to how you write copy, it's really cool to hear you talk so much about the proper naming and all these different tips and tricks for keeping your naming the same across the board. Yeah. I know Aaron, me, Ben, Kimberly on the call, all of the operations people, we all have different hands in marketing, sales, finance, customer experience. We're the ones that actually see all these different groups
Yep.
dealing with different names to different things. I really love the tips you brought on about, all right, how can we bring this together? And the one that I wrote down personally was, what are your customers calling it? You might have had some bright idea to call it something, and you might be really resistant to changing it. But if your customers are calling it something else, like, that's a great service to you to change the name to what they're calling it.
Yeah.
So I really love that, John.
Well, thank you. Thank you,
I think
Taryn.
especially because it feels like a lot of times for me, like visionaries fall in love with their own ideas, right? Like that's like name of the game. That's like Visionary 101, right? They fell in love with whatever their concept was, but you're right. It's like, yeah, but what's getting traction? And being willing to relinquish, like ask yourself the question, what's getting traction? And if what you're trying to get is traction, then lean into it, man. You know what I mean? I'm trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah. I like to say, like, fall out of love with sexy product names. Because it's easy to be like, ooh, that sounds tantalizing. It's like, yeah, but is that just flashy with no substance? If I want flashy, no substance, I go on a dating app.
And that's just lust. I love it, Kimberly. Good one.
So if it's okay, I'd like to jump into like, hey, here's how I write copy. It just happens to be one way. And we'll go from there. Like for our process, how we work with clients is we have our expert message method. So it's manifesto, market, message. What are you passionate about? Why does it matter? Who is it that you really want to serve? Don't just sell to, you want to serve. You want to really help them have a great future, better tomorrow. And then the message, how do you package what you talk about in a way that actually gets people to buy into what you're selling? So for the middle part there is, who's your target market? And anybody can offer a solution, but very few people actually take the time to understand what's the problem. I love the movie Moneyball with Brad Pitt. Yes. And one of the iconic scenes, he's sitting around, it's like, what's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem? And everybody's giving like these great answers. And it's the boss. You want to impress the boss. But it comes down to the problem is that everybody's in this situation, but this is our situation. And if we can define our current reality with how we talk about this product, then we can be able to change that current reality. But until we actually can understand what's really going on here, we don't know where to want to go from here if we don't know where the here is. So on the target market side of things, I like saying, hey, who's your target market, but why this product or service for that person? And I don't think of groups of people when I'm creating copy. I don't think of groups of people. I think of an individual. People are like, oh, like an avatar, an archetype, audience type, whatever it might be. Sure, yeah. But I'm thinking, if this person's sitting right across from me, why this for them? And I lean into the 5 whys. Well, it's because it's going to help them. Like, let's say you're doing financial planning for couples. Why financial planning? Because it's helpful to have a handle on your money and know where your actual money is going, so you can create a better financial future. Okay, why is that? Because money and money fights are one of the leading causes of divorce in America. Okay, why this product? Because this will actually help you have a healthier conversation with your spouse and create a healthier relationship with your money. Why? Because people shouldn't have to go through life wondering if money is going to be what keeps them from living the life that they want. Now we're getting somewhere. Why this product? Because life is too short to settle for a limited amount of memories. Don't let money get in the way of the life that you actually want to experience. Now we're getting somewhere. And all of that, I say, even if I come down and say, okay, here's what that is, how would I explain that to a 9-year-old? Because it's not just hey, I have to explain it to a 9 or 10-year-old, but it's also the speed and transfer of concept. I can know that this is a financial wellness online course, or this is a budgeting course, but it's going for a 9-year-old. I would say you want to know where your money is going in a way that you know where it's going to be when you want it in the future. Okay, if I have $10, I want to know where I can put that dollar safely and know that it's buying all the things that I want without having to worry, will I have enough money to buy the things I want tomorrow or next year or 10 years from now? It's super simplified, but when we start to simplify copy more and more and more down, we can say, how quickly can somebody read that and go, got it? I look for the got it or the head nod when somebody's reading a headline going, got it. And you can always look at, when you have that concept in place, the why this product, why this function, why this unique purpose, like saying, look into research, and research is not sexy. I like to think of research like leg day. And I got that concept from John Acuff, where he's like, leg day. Nobody talks about leg day, but leg day is also the foundation that can carry you throughout your day. And research can help carry your product further and faster than you can go because it has the foundational strength to carry the concept. And I just did leg day yesterday. I'm like a newborn baby giraffe right now. But it's this idea of the reason why nobody does leg day is because it sucks.
Yeah.
It just sucks. But the payoff, everybody loves sexy calves.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do with that what you will. And also don't let research, like when we were with, when I was with Advanced Reach, I said, okay, research, this idea of calling research sucks. So as Pete and I were talking, Pete said, like, what if we just call it gold mining? Because really that's what you're doing. Let's go with that. We're calling it gold mining. We never used the word research and talking about it before, saying gold mining to find the stage opportunities, find the speaking opportunities. And I also like saying like, hey, what's the monkey banana situation? If I'm looking at a sales page going it's really tempting in sales pages, in sales emails, in basically email newsletters. If you put a bunch of bananas in front of a monkey, they're going to not know which one to reach for first. But you put one banana in front of a monkey. I'm saying, what is the one thing you want them to reach for? Okay, I want them to click for this. And it's like, John, you just compared our subscribers to monkeys. I've met some of my subscribers. I'm some of your subscribers. I'm a monkey. Go with it. But if you want somebody to take only one action on that page, strip away any other action and say, what's the one thing I want them to do? I want them to click here, fill out this form, apply here. Keep pounding that over and over and over again and put multiple CTAs on a sales page. For the fast clickers, for the quick thinkers or quick blinkers, for the people who are more methodical, have that same call to action down the page. You can even use some of this exact same headline and CTA because it's iterative in a way that's intentionally iterative. So they can say the same headline, CTA up front. You can put that further at the bottom, same headline, CTA. They're going to know, here's exactly what I need to do. I've never had somebody look at me, it's like, I didn't buy because it was too obvious what to do. I've never heard anybody say that. And I want to be mindful of time here. Okay, so it's 10:29 Pacific. Okay, we'll keep going here. I like thinking about, I want to lead with their win and the intuitive action. Nobody's shocked about what to do with a sales page nowadays. I come on this page, I see this form. What do I do with this form? If you want this, fill that out. We've all been trained. We know what that is. I like assuming the reader's intelligence on this. So again, what are we all trained to do on a form like this? If I want what you're offering, I already know what to do. I know to fill out that form. So I like saying, take charge of your energy and focus with the 10-day keto reset. That lets them know, here's their win. They can take charge of their energy. They can take charge of their focus if they do this. Don't say like, enter your info below to grab your copy of the 10-day keto reset. And I did that for years. I learned they don't need me to tell them to enter their info. The damn form's right there, pardon the French. So I like saying, if they want this, they already know what to do, but do they know what they're going to get? They're not going to get a good guide. They're not going to get an ebook. Like people say, hey, I'll put together an ebook, delete it, put it into some other type of format. Nobody likes ebooks. They're like, hey, download this PDF, shoot me. No, like what is your win? Take charge of your energy and focus. They already know what to do. On your copy, you're going, but also, I like saying self-selection. We're likely a great fit if, or we're likely not a great fit if, and put them side by side and say, I like saying like, hey, who are the clients that we really don't want to work with? Hey, you remember so-and-so? Yeah. What do we not like about them? Oh, they were always the smartest person in the room. It's like, okay, we're likely not a great fit if you can't learn anything new, or you think you always have to be the smartest person. Okay. What do we not like about so-and-so? You know, we're not mentioning names, but like, well, they weren't willing to do the work. Okay. We're likely not the right fit if you're not willing to try something new or work to get a result that's worth the work. Then we're okay. Who do we really like? Gosh, if we could get 100 more of so-and-sos, we would be golden. Like we would love it. They're a joy to work with. Okay. We're likely a great fit if you're willing to learn something new and put in the hard work and try things that maybe are uncomfortable for you or may not be in your comfort zone, but you're willing to try. Or we're likely a great fit if you are, you're willing to unlearn some things that may not work as well anymore. Great. If I can put self-selection, people are reading through this going, yeah, no, they subconsciously, even if they're subconsciously not even if they wouldn't say it out loud, they're saying like, no, I feel like I have to be the smartest one in the room. They're saying, no, this is not the right one for me, because I think they're going to call me out on the BS if I get onto that onboarding and fulfillment call. That self-selection is saving you as an ops expert from saying, I talked with Teresa today. What time? Yeah. Okay, who got the Michaela call today? Really? Who got Steve? You got Steve's 6 emails, seven emails. This self-selection helps save the wrong people from getting on your calendar and getting on your phone. And if this is also, I would say, on the ops side of things, this may be one of your biggest responsibilities for copy that the copywriting team likely has no idea is your responsibility, because they're not the ones, they don't largely, most sales and marketing teams don't care who goes down the pipeline as long as people get in the pipeline. Right. You're the one that cares who's coming down the pipeline. If you're saying, we got 10 Marcuses, please God, no. Or, hey, we got 8 Sarahs. We love Sarahs. They're great. Awesome. Yeah. And so for you on the ops side of things, one of the best things you can do on a responsibility and opportunity standpoint is saying, we really love working with people like so-and-so. And it's maybe more of a challenge to work with people who are like so-and-so. How do we call that out in our copy with like a, if this, great, if this, not great? And how can we put that on the sales page before they reach out to us? Because our whole team loves Sarah's, not as much Steve's. How do we do that? On the copy side of things, I like saying draft fast, edit slow. It's really hard to make edits, or really hard to sculpt clay if you have no clay. Get something on the page. It doesn't matter. Even if it's just like conscious flow of thought, I'm just getting it out there. Great. If we can junk drawer these thoughts about this product onto a page, then we can say, okay, let's sort stuff out and then go from there. For like, what is the big idea that we're looking for threaded through this junk drawer of copy? We can start formatting it easier. Draft fast, edit slower. Not saying edit slow, just edit slower. I also like saying bullet points are some of my best fiends, and so is spell check. I can appreciate that. If you use, saying like, if you're not really a copywriter, somebody likes writing on a regular basis, Grammarly is an amazing tool. It's very affordable, like I think 10, 15 bucks a month. You can get annual price subscription if you want, but that really helps find out, where does the damn comma go? I just like, where does it go? Like for me, I don't worry about that. I just see what Grammarly comes up with the punctuation. Great. Awesome. And then I also use frameworks to get started. It'd be great if there were only frameworks for copywriters, wish granted. Yeah. So there are 2 frameworks I recommend if you're saying like, hey, I need to write some copy because apparently we forgot that we have fulfillment emails that we have to send out. So now it's on me as the ops person to put together these fulfillment emails, and our sales and marketing team, copywriting team, they're on to this next amazing flashy thing, but we still need fulfillment emails. Supposedly I'm supposed to be one that's writing this. Where do I even get started? You're probably familiar with the PASS formula, problem, agitation, solution. I like calling the PACE formula. There's something about, we don't have to agitate the problem that's already agitating them. People have that problem. They're super aware of the fact that they're losing sleep. They're super aware that, yeah, my wife and I are not talking right now because we had that money fight last night, just as an example. We're not fighting. That's just an example. They're already agitated. How can we step into that with empathy and saying, I know what that feels like. I've been in that conversations. I've sat across that dinner table. I've slept on the couch, or I've been at that situation where it's going, we can't do this because of this. I know what that feels like. I know what it's like to be in that situation. You have these thoughts, you have these experiences. The more that we can put the human side in to the problem that they're already talking about, and saying, I understand, I get it, because I've been there too. And then I say, it's not just empathy, but without geeking out here, there are actually 7 different types of empathy. Really, there's 5, but let's just focus on 1 for now. My background, by the way, is therapeutic care and counseling, and I'm also in neuroscience studies for how the human brain is wired for the head and heart to be influenced by a message. That's another story, another time. So on the empathy side of things, there's a specific type of empathy that we need to talk about, is this actionable, compassionate empathy. Because anybody can be a sympathetic crier. Anybody can be a fixer without understanding, okay, why this pain? Why this problem? But the more we can see the human in that problem, saying, there's a reason you signed up for this course. It's because you probably have this challenge, and I get it. And that's why I'm here to help you get into this course, into this coaching program, so that we can help that pain turn into a great peace of mind for you. So what you need to do is you need to log into this. You need to sign up here. If you have questions, let's get that fixed for you. Can we make that a quick win today? So that solution in that email is the quick win, getting logged in, getting started in module 1, or getting on the calendar for the first coaching call, whatever it might be. That's the first one. It's the simplest, easiest one. The PAYS formula. I wish I had another better name for that, but it's the empathetic version of the PASS formula. It sees the human inside that problem and it focuses exactly on where they are. A longer form, and I'll send you access to all of this. You can be able to review in the Google Doc, totally fine. I call it poster. And this poster is adapted from like the pastor formula that Ray Edwards used. Ray Edwards is a great copywriter, good dude. He talks about the pastor formula. I like saying poster because what it does is you have the problem, and every problem's sad, right? It's specific, it's agonizing, it's daunting. There's a reason why they signed up for this. Again, sad problem. But then the origin story is this: likely the reason that you're offering this is likely it's not a nameless, faceless situation for you. It's because I was in that situation as well. And here's what my story is. And if you're familiar with Joseph Campbell's Hero with 1,000 Faces, you think about all these different cultures across society, across history, same stories keep coming up, this hero's journey. Donald Miller took this idea, this concept, he brought it into what he calls the story brand framework, or his SB7 framework, which you might be familiar with. This idea of saying where this person is right now is this origin story. They're in this ordinary world and it's not great. It might be good, but it's not great. It might be great, but it could be even better. Or maybe their world just sucks. But how can we go from that ordinary world saying, here's the solution? So you're showing up, you're not the hero. You're showing up as the guide on the side, helping them as the hero. Here's how to get out of this ordinary world on your journey to an extraordinary world. Here's a solution. It looks like this. You leave the Shire, you take this coaching program, whatever it might be. And then I like saying T is for testify. Those video testimonials are best, or something where we say people were in the same type of ordinary world and they've gotten to this extraordinary world because of this program that helped them go from this world to the extraordinary world. Mm-hmm. And the E is the extraordinary world. If you do this, imagine being able to have this. Imagine being able to have this, the freedom and the confidence and the peace of mind and clarity instead of confusion. What you're doing is you're painting this extraordinary world that they can't see because they've been stuck in the Shire for too long. But think about this world of what that could look like. Aaron, can I geek out a little bit here? Is that okay?
Oh, bro, you're talking Lord of the Rings. You can geek out as long as you want.
Okay. All right. So we have 4 neurotransmitters inside our brains that we typically call like the happy chemicals, the brain chemicals. So you have dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. I call them DOSE, D-O-S-E. And inside everybody who's coming to a sales page or in a sales conversation, there's this neurotransmitter deficit that they're craving to have either met or fulfilled or expanded on their current neurotransmitter level. On the dopamine side, things like, hey, I feel like I don't have a place to belong, or I feel like I'm lacking fulfillment or purpose or whatnot. That's like sometimes when I walk on stage at a different event, I lead one of my talks. I haven't done it in a while, but when I talk, used to walk on stage like, who wants to talk about sex? And it just locks the room. We're not going to talk about sex, but as soon as I ask that question, what it does, it triggers the idea of feeling of belonging, intimacy, and love. And what I'm doing on a copywriting side of things is going, what is their ordinary world? How is that tied into a neurotransmitter deficit? Saying, I'm feeling like I don't have a place to belong. I have a coaching business that is not where it needs to be. I feel like I don't have a place in this world that I really can step into. It feels very ordinary to me. I feel stuck. But the extraordinary world is saying, but imagine if. And when we say the word imagine, it actually starts to trigger the same neurotransmitter of serotonin as you would for walking in the sunshine or getting a high five or hearing an I have a dream speech. What it does is starts to paint a better world, a more sunshiny world. And so for your sales copy, the extraordinary world is about shining more sunlight into people's life so they can see a brighter future. That's the extraordinary world. And we get to the R part of poster, risk and reward. If you do this, this can be a reward. If you don't do this, you run this risk. People will see the risk reward as this balanced scale. And the more that we can take the weight off the risk and put more of the weight, transfer more of the weight from the risk into the reward, the more likely they are to see, if I'm seeing 100 of this, and I'm saying one of this, unless 50-50 or 99 and 1, whatever it might be, saying, how can we assume more of the risk? So like saying, make your guarantees unforgettable. I like saying, like, what's your 100% money back, no hard feelings, we can still be friends guarantee? Even if all this, do this. They're saying, I still have access to this even 30 days from now. If you're saying at any point, you're saying, this is not for me, great. All your money back plus 10%. Or so like, it can't be just a 100% money back guarantee. A lot of people say that, but if I say 110% money back guarantee, I might actually pay you 10% of what the program costs. Even if you don't want it anymore, just to let you know that's how much we believe in it. We will pay you to have our product. Whoa, it's remarkable because it assumes more of the risk and it takes it all. Actually, they have no risk. They have all reward in that regard. They can't lose. So that's just one, like those two frameworks, pass or pace and poster. That's another one. We'll jump into this last section here and then we'll, okay, about 10:43 Pacific. Okay. Everything is copy. Everything is copy. Every sales conversation, every fulfillment conversation, every onboarding email, every ops phone call, everything is copy. Copy doesn't have to be written to be copy. How we talk about our products is copy. How we talk about how we answer questions on the phone from somebody who's looking for fulfillment or onboarding, that's copy as well. So I like looking at fulfillment emails are probably the most, the least sexiest part of ops. You signed up for this. I got to send you this. Like it's all data or it's all just process. It's not sexy. But if it was your best friend, how would you want them to onboard into this experience? You would probably talk about it in a way where it's very conversational. And I would say, if I'm sending a fulfillment emails, what is the exact purpose of every fulfillment emails? You can probably take your onboarding fulfillment email process, if you have a campaign, and likely cut it in half. Cut the email length in half, cut the number of emails in half, and say, if I know they're going to get these 3 emails, they're not going to get 7. I'm notorious for saying, stop sending too many emails for people that have already signed up. They've already signed up. Fulfillment emails aren't sales emails. Fulfillment emails are saying, here's how to get going in the direction you already need to go. If somebody's already running fast towards an area, you don't need to push them in the back. That's how people stumble. That's how people trip. What's a gentle push or gentle running alongside them? Here we go. There's a little more momentum. One idea, one action per email that you send for fulfillment. Okay. Here's your onboarding email for getting logged into the system. Here's your onboarding email for getting booked on the group coaching calls. And then here's a third onboarding email saying, got questions, hit reply. We'll get this fixed. You probably don't need more than those 3 onboarding emails. Anything longer than that is probably just wasted energy. I like saying, if you need to boil pasta, like if we're making a big pasta dinner, 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius for Canadian friends. Anything above that 212 degrees Fahrenheit is wasted energy because it doesn't meet the goal. Saying, well, if I want to boil water faster to get pasta faster, I can't use a flamethrower. But that's what we do with a lot of marketing. I'm just going to send 7 fulfillment emails. Okay, how many of those are wasted energy above the 212 degrees Fahrenheit? What's the minimum boiling point I need to get for us to reach the goal of boiling pasta for the people in this experience? That's what I like saying. Red teaming. If you're familiar with red teaming at all, essentially back in the 1950s, when it was this Cold War space race with the US and Russia, the US started put together for all their NASA and aerospace and aero defense. They said they started taking between 10 to 20% of their teams and saying, okay, you're not going to be working on the project. You're going to be our red team. And our red team is going to find out where are the weaknesses inside this project. And basically your job over these next 6 weeks while we build this project is find out where are all the places you would potentially break this or exploit different holes in the system. And 6 weeks go by, here's our finished product. Great. Here's our red team. Now go to town. And essentially the people who built this aerospace, this satellite, where it might be, had to sit there for an hour while the red team came and said, well, here's a door where we could expose the code, or here's where the actual docking station could be blown up, or here's where it might be. I like saying, taking a day and going through all your fulfillment systems, going like, I'm going to start signing up for this lead magnet or this product or whatnot from start to finish, I'm going to find out how quickly I can break our system or our process, and where can it get broken, and where can we then take all those places where we find it's broken and then fix that with copy or fulfillment, emails or calls or whatever it might be. If you can red team your process, it makes it a whole lot better. One last thing before we really get into the close. When you write copy, you don't have a group of people all reading the email at the same time around the same computer or smartphone. It's not you or us, it's me and you. We both know. So I'm not writing to a group of people at the same time. I'm writing to one person. We both know what that's like, or you might have some questions about that. Or for the two of us, we've been in that situation. What it does is it makes it so much more conversational, much easier for people to say, I feel like you're talking just to me. It's because I am. I'm talking to one person at a time. Got about 10, 12 minutes here. Aaron, we want to go into copy makeover, or just want to do a little Q&A?
No, I think let's get both in, man. So if you want to do copy makeover first, and let's leave the end for
Sure.
Q&A. That way, if they have questions about that, they can ask that too.
Great. So a lot of people, especially in the ops department, what I found consistently over the last 9-10 years, people say, well, we had our sales team write this copy, or I had this copywriter, and now they're off and their scope's been fulfilled and they did this part, but found out we actually need this email sequence written, or we need this fulfillment emails. I'm not a copywriter, but I wish I could have somebody just look over it real quick. Can we make some edits? That way we don't have to reach out to the lead copywriter who did all of our launch copy and have them write it all again. I just need this today, or I need this the next couple of days. What's a quick solution? So I started putting together what I call on-demand copywriting calls via Zoom. The 50-minute calls via Zoom, I call them copy makeovers. So what you do is you send your copy at least an hour ahead of time. You put in Google Docs. We hop on a Zoom call together. I record the call. We edit as much of the copy as we can reasonably in that time frame, 50 minutes. You get the recording and the updated copy. It's on-demand scheduling. Each of those calls, $250. You pay it through Stripe before you sign up, and you can book as many of those as you want. And that way you don't have to have this, well, here's this, is this scoped? Is this inside this? It's just this one email I need to send, or it's this one bio I need to do, or I've got this fulfillment thing. It takes a lot of pressure off of you where you go, I feel like I have to get this big engagement. It's like, no, in the moment, it's fast, it's nimble, it's affordable. And the link is right there. bit.ly/copy makeover goes right with that. And I have people that say, well, what if I want to book 10? Okay, book 10. And we go from there. I have people say, well, I booked a session, but it's going to be a while before our team really gets to this. Can I come back in 6 weeks? Absolutely. 6 weeks, that link still works. We go from there.